to the Ashen Trial Season 1 here. We are continuing our group stages. We have a matchup of Odyssey versus Radiant. We have Cyber on the killer side for Odyssey, on the Deathslinger against the Radiant survivors. I am Monarch. I'm joined by my co-caster Amy, and we are starting our Deathslinger match off with a bit of a patrol down the down the mid here. This map is one of the bone-shaped maps, so you have this area down on the bottom side with this middle connected area, and right now Cyber is just patrolling this middle, trying to catch any survivors going up to the top side here. We do see some scratch marks around main. That is going to be Ultra on the Quentin around main building, but this is one of the strongest areas to be in for a survivor, although Deathslinger does have the opportunity to shoot through the floorboards to try and hit Ultra's toes, but it doesn't seem like Cyber is open to the idea. And Amy, what do you think of this matchup so far? I think this is, I want to see some nice clean shots from Cyber here.
Oh, absolutely, Monarch. I'm excited to be able to watch a Deathslinger match. It is always, in my opinion, very intriguing when this character is introduced, since there's a lot of things that can go wrong for the serves, but excellent pallet save from the ace here. Oh, just barely misses the shot. So, as I was saying earlier, like with Deathslinger, it is very fascinating because basically as Deathslinger, you're expecting stages. If you're the killer side, you never expect to really 4K. I'm not saying that it does not happen. Good killers can make it work. Wispy's actually very well-known Deathslinger. So basically the strat that you see from this killer is that you want to be able to hold your 3/4 gen on one side of the map, kill someone on top of it, and hook in the correct position so that the survivors have a really hard time rotating, and you just hold that for as long as possible and hope that they mess up on rotation. Since if you are able to do that, then you can actually maybe get a decent amount of stages, or possibly a 4K if the team messes up enough. But again, it really just depends on how well the survivors are coordinated and playing. You cannot go down in your 4-gen area. It is very, very bad. So every time you take a hit, you want to make sure you get that good hit to mid. And so far, we're seeing Cyber try to do that game plan by staying on this side of the map very heavily.
Cyber right now hits the second shot onto Ultra. That is a down onto Ultra. And this is kind of where you want the down to be. And there's a bit of a 4-gen, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might only be a 3-gen around the main building. I'm not sure. It is a 3-gen around the main building, but you do have two pain resonance hooks behind the main building at your disposal. Cyber are going to be hooking Ultra onto one of them, getting that pain res and the turn back the clock as well. Phenomenal perk from the Henry. Very phenomenal perk. Ran on probably vibe on a lot of different killers. I'm not surprised to see it on a Deathslinger set. We do see the scratch marks of Ducky nearby, who saved Ultra's life earlier, but wasn't able to continue that support. Ducky in chase. Cyber tries to aiming a little bit lower, you can see, trying to go for more center of mass, so even if it basically prevents survivors from crouching underneath the Deathslinger's hook. Even through the flashbang, though, Cyber is a member of the FaZe clan. They have them 360 no-scope trick shots down. And that's going to be a nice hit onto Ducky, but the reset onto Ultra does come through, and the unhook as well. Ultra, I think, kind of wants to get out of this area. Like, this is a very dangerous area to be in. It's within the Deathslinger's 3-gen, and it is with a pain resonance hook as well. And I think the Ultra's a little trapped here between a window and a crazed gunman. Where do you decide to head? It's kind of just stuck between the window here. Gonna take the window, but that's gonna lock you into a guaranteed animation. Cyber gonna use the Bayshore Cigar with the decreased stun timer on the chain break to get a little bit of extra distance against Ultra. Now Ultra stuck on this tile. Gives Cyber the opportunity to reload. One shot in the chamber is one shot all that you need. Yes, it is. That's gonna be a clean down onto Ultra.
What beautiful gameplay from Cyber we're seeing here. He's trying to follow the game plan, as I mentioned earlier, just keeping it on this top side of the map, not letting our Quentin here try to make it to mid, and we're getting another hook again on 12. So this is really, really good for the Deathslinger. We have 3 gens, and I don't believe we have strong prog on anything right now. Yeah, we are just barely starting our gens again at 3 gens. So this is really, really, really good for the Deathslinger. And if you're Cyber you're with a smile on your face, knowing that this is the exact scenario that you practice for if you ever practice the set, and you think about this all the time. So I think I like the fact that you mentioned earlier, Monarch, that we do have turn back the clock. It is really, really great on Deathslinger, as Deathslinger's not really a character that wants to overcommit to a side that much, and having turned back the clock, basically a way to stop progression on gens from a far distance, is really, really useful in a character with not that much mobility. So we are going to see continue our tunnel out here on Quinton. Of course, Ace doing an excellent job going for a body block. And again, we just want to keep it on this top side. But at this point, we probably can overcommit a little bit to try and get this down. Since if we get this down quickly, it'll be an excellent position for the Deathslinger.
Cyberite continuing the chase, trying to prevent Ultra from reaching to the bottom side, has them pinned a little bit. Ducky with the nearby support, the UAV aerial support coming through, but Cyberite hits the chain throughout, finds the correct angle, and spears Ultra straight through the heart, and that is going to eliminate one of the Radiant survivors from the game. Ducky is nearby, trying to take a bit of a hit or a body block, but it is all in vain. Turn back the clock, back on the clock, as that is going to allow a bit of a gen pressure as well. Can Cyber prevent this from happening? Yes, he can. That is the beauty of turn back the clock. It just forces Survivor off the gen. Great shot over the rock. And I think Cyber wants to go for the chain. And yeah, they are going to get the chain break. That gives a ton of less distance for Mary Lazuli to work with. Vaults the main window. Can they wrap back around to the pallet? Yes, they can. They have the pallet side. Ultra, Cyber can't really afford for a reload. Pallet's not going to come through, and the chem trap as well. But now that allows Cyber to reload. One shot back in the chamber. Ducky back for the support. Can they body block the hit in time? I think they can. Cyber cannot dodge around Ducky in time. Ducky, so far, is doing a really good job at this body blocking, but Mary Lazuli will instead just not.
Yeah, this is actually really unfortunate for Cyber as they did manage to break the 3-gen at 11. So that is really, really good for the survivors. They now have an excellent gen spread that they can use to be able to pressure Deathslinger. I think what really, really was difficult for Cyber is the fact that he decided to try and go for the M1 there on 12. And if he honestly just reloaded instantly after hitting the survivor, I think he actually could have gotten the down on that short filler, since Deathslinger is very, very strong in the 1v1, but he decided to go for an M1. Maybe he felt he could have gotten it with a little bit of spacing correctly, but unfortunately for this character, it is a little bit harder to get the M1 with a slower walking speed. So excellent shot though, as I say. Cyberite using a cigarette very, very well, or I guess I should say cigar, either one. And he's just going to overcommit this chase because he definitely knows that he just needs to start putting the pressure on now.
Actually, a cigar is a much fatter version of a cigarette. You should know your stuff, mister. But that is going to be down into Jake. That will allow another pain resistance to come through. And yeah, no, your 3-gen has been destroyed at this point. So I think Cyber is going to probably just end up playing for stages at this point. I think the most important target right now, honestly, might be to find Ducky.
That's a little bit of an unfortunate DC. I mean, I'm going to assume that was accidental. There has happened in past events.
I am going to assume this is just a case of the cat clawing at the old power cable.
Yeah, it seems like they're playing it out, so I actually am inclined to believe that it was probably accidental, but at this stage of the game, they all cannot DC and restart, so they must just play it out. And I mean, if you are the survivors, this is really, really tragic. It was looking like it was definitely going to be stages if played correctly, and now with a DC, this is like literally going to be most likely 4K, honestly. 4K1 most likely, as even though, because Deathslinger is still very, very strong in the 1v1. That's literally this character's like whole strength. So honestly, as long as Cyber continue to play as he has with the other survivors in these chases, I think he'll be able to lock in that 4K1. And it's honestly, if you are this team, you are very, very happy about that, despite it being just a very, very tragic thing for the survivors, especially since internet issues are just a very, very sad thing to witness, but sometimes it does happen.
Yeah, we're gonna find Ducky stealthing around. Cyber has the read, knowing that there is a survivor nearby, trying to work on this gen. Ducky, as we found in chase, first shot, not gonna connect. Cyber reloaded. One shot in the chamber. Is one shot all it takes? Can he line up the ankle? Keep running around this rock filling. I know they're going to break the pallet, limiting Ducky's options. Ducky is now forced to just run out into the open. This lines him up for a perfect shot, but I don't even think Cyber is going to need it in the end. A swing is going to come through, and that's going to be the down on to Ducky here, leaving Mary Lazuli as the unfortunate last survivor standing. And yeah, no, the DC is absolutely brutal. Like, as I also was saying, I expected that I think the most important survivor to get was Ducky, because Ducky was just providing so much altruistic plays, really trying their best to extend the downs on both Ultra and Mary Lazuli around that main building. So they're definitely providing a lot of value there. And this is going to leave Mary Lazuli the last survivor standing. Cybereye going on the hunt now, and it does seem like they don't have enough pressure on the board to get another gen going here, and that's just going to be really unfortunate. Oh, we are going to hear the injured grunts of pain. Unfortunately, Claire Redfield is not one of the quieter survivors in the game, and that's going to be the last chase of the game here at Shack.
True, definitely one of the louder survivors in the game, and that's exactly why, despite it technically not being something that is directly correlated to skill and how quiet your survivor is, it can definitely still make a difference when you're trying to stealth, especially when in comps, stealthing is just extremely strong. It's strong in pubs as well, but in comp, it is especially important because you don't get really many second chance perks, especially not on the weaker killers. So you really have to count on your stealthing abilities and not get found, since you really get no second chance. But we are going to see a 4K1. It is all thanks to that DC, but Cybereye still played very well in that early game. If he just honestly got the tunnel out slightly earlier, then he definitely could have secured his 3-gen, and it honestly might have still been 4K1, maybe 4K0, so either way, excellent job to Cybereye. Don't want to take anything away from the abilities that he's shown here, and we will be right back for the next set.
To the Ashen Trials Season 1, we are continuing our group stage matchup of Odyssey versus Radiant. Last time we were here, Odyssey secured a 4K1 against the survivors of Radiant, albeit with a very unfortunate DC, but unfortunately, there's nothing that we can really do about it, so the show must go on. Now, Ducky on the side of Radiant has to get that 4K2 to secure the win con, or 4K1 for the tie con. If the survivors pop all 5 generators, that is a win for Odyssey. I'm Monarch as usual. I'm joined by my co-caster Amy, and we're starting off on a pretty slow note as Ducky has managed to find themselves within the top side of their corrupted gens, trying to scout out any stealthing survivors. Amy, what do you think Ducky really needs to happen in this match to secure that 4K2, or do you think that this is just going to be a set win for Odyssey?
We're seeing a very interesting, basically killer momentum here, because he took Eruption over Agitation, so this is to suggest that basically Ducky more or less wants to just play for that win and campsite as much as possible. And wow, that was definitely a crazy miss. But literally, besides the Eruption, we're literally seeing the exact same build and already beautiful showcase from Ducky. This is the start that you definitely want. Getting this first down on Deathslinger might be one of the most important first downs for literally any killer. It means that you can start off your 3-gen/4-gen holding way earlier than later, because remember, the longer that a chase happens with Deathslinger, the better the position for the survivors to take a shot to if the Deathslinger misses their shots. Deathslinger is one of those characters who's strong in the 1v1, but basically mainly at fillers. This character, when one miss happens, it is really hard. Like unlike a lot of characters that are released nowadays, Deathslinger is really hard punished for missing. You know, you have someone like current Vecna who can just like send a shot literally every 2 seconds and get not punished for it, but not on this killer. But we are seeing excellent down from Ducky here around the 10, and this is going to be our first hook of the match, and we're most likely either going to hook mid or top. It just depends what Ducky decides to do. Both would still be great spots, since if you hook mid, you can kind of control any rotations much stronger, but Ducky is deciding to head over to 1 here to maybe start his 3-gen on top side.
Pain Resistance coming through, preventing any gens from popping during that duration. We are going to see the turn back to clock. It won't apply the Eruption, but it's still a very nice perk to have. As we saw last match, Cybereye there on the Deathslinger utilizing the turn back to clock to actually prevent a gen from popping right in his face. So very excellent perk. I can understand why it's chosen, but I think we are going to end up seeing a gen pop. We might even see 2 for this, as Ducky has extended themselves really far down into the bottom side of this map. They're really trying to hunt for Survivor, trying to rotate up. I think they realized that with how far the death spot was, this just allowed the survivors to rotate and get these gens popping in the bottom side. So they kind of want to cut off anyone rotating up top side for the unhook. They see scratch marks on the left side of the map, but we're going to be continuing onto the survivor on the right side. That is going to be covered on the Laura Croft, making their way over to the unhook. this is a very precarious situation because if Ducky can line up the shot, okay, never mind, scratch that. I was gonna say if Ducky could line up that shot, could potentially prevent the unknown right in front of his face. We are gonna see Ducky aim for, I think, a rabbit on the ground. I think that's what they were hunting for. Yeah, yeah, you know, trying to get the sustenance out of the way. We are gonna avoid the M1 attack to borrow a little time for the borrowed time to come through into effect. And I think now the borrowed time has ran out, and so has Jules's first time off the hook. A second hook coming out onto Jules.
Yeah, and with our survivors here, they're doing an excellent job on gen progression. We already have 2 gens that are about 60%. And remember, we did already use our pain res earlier on this exact survivor. So honestly, this is looking a little dire for Ducky. The very good play from the survivors here would be to play it slow and honestly just focus on gen progression. They only need to surpass a 4K1, so this is a very, very good win condition for the survivors, and really unfortunate for Ducky since he had a little bit of an explosive start with a good first chase, but because of how far the gen spread is, this is going to be a very uphill battle for Ducky unless he possibly gets a very explosive down into a slug. That is most likely going to be the only way that Ducky can recover from this.
Yeah, I think Ducky's gotta, you know, you gotta invest into, you know, if you ever played Resident Evil 4, if you max out the upgrades on the weapon, you get the elusive upgrade. And I think the elusive upgrade for the Deathslinger's gun is just replacing the tip spear with a bomb. You can just implant a survivor with a bomb. I think that'd be a pretty cool idea of behavior. You know, hire me. We are going to see Jules back in chase once more. Ring around the rosy dip, dive, dodge, dipping, and weaving out their way. We are going to see Covet come in. That altruistic play that Ducky themselves wanted to do last trial to prevent the down. And this time it's going to work out in the end, but Jules does not immediately go for the pallet. They are expecting the windup of the Deathslinger's crosshair, but it doesn't come through, and it actually ends up being the death of Jules. Now the survivors are caught in a 3v1, but they do have a lot of gen pressure, and the biggest factor, if you look at this, they have broken the 3 gen. We have 1 on the bottom side and 2 on the top side. Now they can split gens halfway across the map and force Ducky on the Deathslinger, a character with not a lot of mobility. Hash behavior, when are we giving Deathslinger the ability to use his harpoon like a grappling gun?
I actually love that idea, and I think it would be such a needed buff for this character, honestly. And one of the things that I am seeing here is I'm very, very curious what the survivors are thinking. I mean, earlier we saw a tunnel out, and with this much gen progression, honestly, I do believe that the Laura should have taken the down. If we did do that, it doesn't matter if we get another PR. If you simply have 4 survivors alive on the board, you can easily pop another gen regardless of what the killer does with 4 survivors alive. But the fact that they basically gave up the tunnel out at this point in the match, and we have the only 2 progressed gens were on top, this is exactly what Ducky needed to do. It was a big survivor mistake, and Ducky is now in a very good position to hopefully even tie this win con, since at this point in the game he will not be able to win it. Unfortunately, he needed a 4K2 for that. Either way, very, very good showcase from Ducky earlier on the filler as well, since Ace unfortunately did take a very rough hit and not being able to make the distance on this character, and that's exactly why I stated earlier that this character does excel in the 1v1, unlike his mobility.
Yeah, without a ton of mobility, Ducky is kind of forced to spread themselves thin. Right now, we do get ninjas off the ground, as now we're back to all survivors healthy. This is a lot of pressure that the survivors are building up. Bringing a lot of pressure on man and a lot of pressure at 10. So Ducky kind of just has to either commit to something or find a perfect opportunity to go for the slug. Samurai in the main building. The Deathslinger from last match, now on the survivor side, dodges the first shot. Ducky goes for a cheeky little snipe through the boards of the wall, but it's not going to connect. The double reset happening, so now all survivors on the map are healthy and can tackle these gens once again. Ducky needs to get a little bit of pressure in, but what can you possibly do at this stage in the match? I just don't know what the play is. Cyberai still healthy and alive in this chase, but is eventually going to take a tag. That's going to be a free tag. This could be a follow-up onto another hit. Scope goes in, shot goes wide, needs to reload. One more shot in the chamber. Cyberai running for dear life, but Ducky has them pinned, and just oh, never mind. Near last second dodge from Cyberai means that they last just another day, but much like a donkey, Ducky is gonna pin the tail onto this photo.
Yeah, and these survivors this whole time have been just doubling this gen on 5. And that is actually a very, very good play, as they know that they only need to pop this gen for the win con. And I believe that we might have a pain risk go through, and it does go through on 5. The survivors might just decide to stick it and double it, since, again, if they pop it, they win. And this is going to be very close, as we do have our Deathslinger making our way down, knowing that this gen cannot pop, but it does look like it is 90%. Do we pop this? Yes, we do. That is unfortunately one of the weaknesses of this character, and we're just deciding to go with the DC. Excellently well played by the survivors. A little bit of a mistake with our tunnel out. However, they did manage to make up for it with excellent gen pressure, and it shows exactly why on Deathslinger you need that 3 gen more than anything else. You cannot spread yourself thin that much on this character, and we are going to go on to our next game. What an incredible first start.
To the Ashen Trial Season 1, we are continuing our group stage matchup of Radiant versus Odyssey. Last time, Radiant were able to secure the Deathslinger set, so now we have moved on to Henry Creel. We have Ultra on the side of... Oh, actually... Sorry, I misspoke a little. It was Odyssey that secured the Deathslinger set. So now we have Ultra on the side of Radiant on the Henry. Sorry for a little slip of the tongue there. I am your caster Monarch. I am joined by Amy, and we are off to a fantastic start here. Getting a cheeky little tag onto CyberEye, and a no-look hit onto Ninjas as well. One more will secure the upside down stay, and now the injures can come into effect. Ninjas has to use his ninja abilities to dodge these hits, but they cannot. Ultra has the read. Amy, this is a very, very, very fast set. It's kind of a nurse adjacent set, so how do you think this is going to go down?
I do agree that this is kind of like a nurse adjacent set. I mean, that was beautiful gameplay by Ultra on Henry, and honestly, that is one of the strengths of this character. Henry does phenomenally when able to pressure that quickly, because this character, again, does, even if he missed just one of those shots, it does not matter. Like, this character almost has 0 cooldown, and that is our SP user, which is why Ultra was like double thinking about committing that, since the main like weakness of the Henry is the fact that you can just run. You can just run away. If you have good pathing and you just send it and you don't get stuck at a filler, then you're fine. And that is exactly the exact opposite thing you want to do if you're this lower. She decided to double back. She wasn't sure if Ultra was going to send the power or not. But honestly, you just have to hold the run button. You just have to hold it. You cannot afford to go to fillers. Otherwise, you're going to see, for example, we are in the corner of the map here, and that is one of the strongest places that that the Henry can be. Yeah, and I'm seeing the state of this game already, and even if a pallet save comes in, even if we decide to recover the survivors, this is an incredibly difficult position to recover from, and an absolutely explosive start for Ultra.
Yeah, Ultra utilizing those Vine attacks to get these downs in very quick succession. We see there the chase power of the Henry, where Jules or no, it was Covet trying to run towards a pallet, but ended up like not fully committing towards the pallet because the Henry had the power pulled up. So in the end, they were stuck in a hard place of, do I run forward for the guaranteed hit, or do I run back? But he could also just cancel the power. It's a very, very difficult. You kind of just have to play it like a nurse. We have to lose the line of sight here. Gonna use the uproot attack onto Ninjas, but Ninjas gets out of the radius at the last second. Chase onto Ninjas, but we are outside of the upside down right now. The Nightmare Realm is not here, so we need 2 clean hits from Ultra. First hit comes out, second hit goes a little wide. Ninjas voided at the last second, but we are stuck between this wall and but the Henry does not care about the surroundings. He will hit you through that wall. That's gonna be the timer started on the upside down. Ninjas has the entire hill to run through. Ultra goes for a bit of a prediction shot, but Ninjas was not waiting on the other side. Ultras is still looking for Ninjas. Ninjas has their full meter, so now once they get to that second stage, if they go down, they will just be able to be moored out of the game. Injury not coming quick from that upside down attack, as Ultra here really wants to get this clean down, but Ninjas has the movement using their ninja abilities to dodge all of these Vine attacks. Ultra lining up another shot, goes a little wide. Ninja's literally only has 2 trees to work with, but 2 trees is all he needs. Ultra going for another one. I think at this point you might just want to go for the M1 hit. No, the M1 hit is not going to come through. We're going to use a Vine attack. Vine attack finally going to get hit. Not only distance made by ninjas as Ultra is now recovered out of the Vine attack. Second Vine attack comes through, but it's not going to land on the down. Ninja's just dodging, duck diving, and weaving, but Ultra gets a slap to the face, and that's going to be down on ninjas.
Oh yeah, and we saw a completely different chase from what we saw at the start of this game, and you'll see exactly why, because Ninjas decided to mainly just hold running away from Ultra as long as possible, and that caused him to miss way more, since again, if you are not at a filler, this character just kind of has to guess where you're gonna head straight, and if you dodge it, then you gain a decent amount of distance every single time that they go for it, so it gives you way a bigger window to kind of just waste the killer's time. One of the things I did also see is that before, like, Ninjas thought in mid that he was going to leave, and when he decided to, well, at least when he thought that Ultra was going to leave the chase, he decided to immediately hop on one of the phones, which I don't know if these survivors know, but 2 people hopping on phones, since there was someone else already on one, is not really that ideal, since it only goes up by such a small percentage that basically you almost just want 1 person on it. But Ultra doing an excellent job keeping up the pressure and deciding to go for a tunnel out. A very, very smart decision as well, knowing that we still have 4 gens on the board. Sure, we maybe will pop 1 or 2 by the time that this chase ends, but that isn't absolutely worth it for this killer, since remember, the other team will have to match this result and this explosive start that Ultra's already getting on the board. So very, very well played by Ultra, and most likely this is going to be a down on this filler, since this is a very, very difficult one to play against the Henry. And yeah, as I said, this is very, very hard to play, but excellent job to the ace for lasting this long against, like, what seems like Ultra being very experienced on this killer.
Yeah, getting that tunnel out, which is very easy to do, considering that once you have your full clock turned, that will mean that a survivor who's on the second stage going down will just be Moriable. We see the mind break performed on ninjas now with the 3v1. 3 gens still stand in the way between Odyssey and the gates. Ultra in the undergate, trying to get a little hit, but this is our SB survivor using the sprint burst to get out of the radius. Covet is now half a mile away. The entire state of Kansas lies between Ultra and Covet now, as Ultra's just gonna go for the tag. The ruin has been cleansed. I don't remember when it was cleansed, but it was cleansed a while ago, I feel like. So Ultra is just gonna get that eruption proc on to 11. Ultra doesn't have the undergate to traverse the map, so they just need to walk around. The Henry being a 110 killer, this is going to be a lot slower to do. Ultra just gonna get these eruptions acts. As an eruption, kind of a lot of eruptions around the map, so a down would affect a ton of generators. A down might come through, a blind shot through the shack, not going to connect to target. Jules on the other side here has to play between the window, is just going to keep the W key. Ultra going for a bit of a blind shot there, but Jules is just running forward with the W key. Second shot coming through. The upside down has now been achieved, and injury can now come in, just holding down the power, forcing a lose-lose situation for Jules. Jules going to run away from the pallet, but this will just end up being a hit either way through the window. Ultra really wants that M2 hit. Vine attack going to come through. Now Jules is stuck between this pallet. One more M2 is all going to take. But Ultra's not even going to take it. They're just going to take the M1, and that's going to be the triple. That's going to be the triple eruption proc coming through, and a pain resonance on top of this.
Oh yeah, we had a Laura in the corner, most likely at 5 or 4, just stealthing to maybe get a flashlight save, but unfortunately not in the right position for it. Just seems to be a little bit out, and Covet now is being chased by Ultra. I'm not sure if Ultra's going to commit this, as Ultra definitely knows that we don't really have to commit that yet. Just taking a tag and going back to mid. Excellent game sense by Ultra, knowing that we only have 1 healthy, and when you only have 1 healthy on the board, realistically that is the only person that can head for it. And oh my gosh, and we do find the scratch marks, but do we find the survivor? Most likely Samurai is just trying to stealth, which is the very smart play. No, we just go for a Jiggy Xeno pull. Excellent decision by Samurai. Sometimes you need to take those risky plays in order to be able to get back into the game, but excellent snipe from Ultra, knowing the exact positioning of Samurai is going to take. This is very, very unfortunate for the survivors. You do not want T3 tags here, and with the kill killer as oppressive as Henry, he will be easily able to find the survivors because he's undetectable. So the survivors do not know where he's coming from until he's on them. And when this killer, with like how Ultra is playing, is on you in a split second, you will go down very quickly because this killer is very, very explosive in the chase. Excellent job to Ultra, and most likely he's going to secure the down here. Yes, he is. We've been seeing excellent snipes from Ultra, and most likely this is going to be a top hook. Yes, we're deciding to just keep it top and get our PR most likely. And honestly, I've been floored by the game sense with Ultra, since he has been doing very well mechanically, but your mechanical ability is only as good as your game sense.
Ultra does the insta unhook coming in, but Ultra is not concerned. Popping eruption once more on 11 is gonna follow the scratch marks of the nearby survivor who was on this gen, but they've managed to put themselves very far away. You could fit the entire population of Nebraska between Covet and Ultra, but Ultra has taken a train and has closed the distance. I don't know if Ultra is concerned that much of continuing this chase. I think they want to find Jules again, because with the undergate attacks, it's going to put them instantly into that unknown state. Oh, we spot Cyber trying to stealth a little bit. Are they going to get tagged? They will not be tagged by the undergate attack. It's a very easy attack to avoid, but that doesn't make the job easier for Cyber, as now they just are stuck between the killer and a rock. First M2 gonna come in. Ultra gonna take a second M2 soon. No, they will not actually. Line up the Vine attack. That's gonna be a second Vine attack coming out now. Cyber does not have a lot to work with. Only a couple of scaffolding and a rock. A rock is all they need, though. A rock and 2 trees. This is the difference between a Vine attack hitting and missing. Cyber doing a great job at unpredictable movement here. The movement king out here, avoiding all of these M2s. Ultra just shooting fish in the barrel and missing all of these. Another one's going to come through. Do we just take the M1 at this point? That somehow does not miss. That hits. That is very close. Oh, Cyber trying to get a little cheeky there, running straight into the Henry. Was going to take M1 for the efforts, and I think Ultra's going to fall with the M1 as he kind of likes to do here. But the guaranteed hit after the pallet drop is going to be the death of Cyber, as we're going to follow up with an undergate attack, trying to sniff out the other Odyssey survivors working on gens in the background. Ultra hunting, looking. Here's the gen progress. He is a very heavily progress gen. He's gonna go check it. That is going to be Covet. Can come and make it out alive. Yes, he can. This is the SB survivor.
Very interesting play from the survivors from the POV of Laura. They were actually deciding to hold the 99 gen just to waste a little bit more time of Ultra coming down here. Very, very smart play. I'm not sure at this point in the game this is very recoverable. If you have one slug and even another down here is going to be very disastrous. But Cyber, that was so incredible, man. Being able to hold out against Henry of this caliber for that long at edge map was absolutely insane. Basically squeezing every single space in 11, even without pallets, to be able to last that long. And that was really, really good for this team. Being able to pop one more gen is a big deal here. And now we are going to be seeing Covet try to last as long as possible. My bad, that is actually Jules. But unfortunately, before I can even fix my mistake, we are seeing another down here. That's going to be another death going back to the campfire. So excellent job from Ultra. Again, this game is most likely not recoverable. Most likely we're going to see a 4K1. But Cyber showed us earlier that it doesn't matter how bad it looks, bro. You can do anything if you believe hard enough.
If you put your heart into it, you can do anything, folks, which is why you should rob a bank. Just do it.
Good advice, bro.
We at the Ashen Trials do not condone bank robbery, but what we do condone is good DBD gameplay, and that's what we're seeing right now. Ultra hunting, but Covet is the SB survivor. Interesting standoff here of trying to bait out the SB one direction. But Covet just has it at their disposal. It's just going to end up using that away with a little bit of the roller skates action to get a little bit of haste out of the undergate attack, going for a blind shot through the palace, but not going to connect. Ultra now has to keep hunting. They can go for Cyber. Cyber is a fresh hook, which could be another pain risk token. This is their last pain risk token that could possibly do. That is a lot of pressure on 11, but Cyber gonna get hit with the first M2. Can we see a repeat performance of last time? I don't think so, because with the injury now, Ultra can just use their feeties to just catch up with the M1 attack, and that's gonna be a punch straight to the back. And yeah, I fully agree with you, Amy. I think this is going to be over. I don't think another gen. That is a very, very progress gen. But can Covet even make it in time? No, they're just going to stick to this gen. And I think they can't even pop it in time. Really tragic. They were really close to popping all 5 generators of the map, but close is not enough. You just need to actually pop those gens, and we're finally gonna see an undergate attack hit, as Covet did not have the sprint burst at their available this time around, and this will be the 4K1 coming out on Henry for Ultra on the Henry.
I do have to say, really, really smart gameplay from Covet here. I feel like they have such great game sense on Survivor. Since earlier, before we found the stealth, one of the ways Covet was trying to make it back to 11 to maybe pick up the Survivor and get back to doing the gen or spreading out pressure was the fact that they were using their flashlight to actually hide their scratch marks while still going quickly across the map. So really, really smart things that I am seeing here from these survivors. And yeah, even though it is a 4K1 on the board against what I've been seeing mechanically from Ultra, that is still really, really impressive. And because there's still there's a decent number of games recorded from Henry now in comp, so it's not like this set is kind of unmeasured, but Shuffle Pit 1 is a very fascinating map to see him on, since most of the time it's usually played on one of the Wreckers maps, or sometimes Gas Haven, so basically one of the Auto Haven maps. So it is, I am very happy I got to see a Shuffle Pit 1 set, since this set is way, like, I'd like to say that the stage is much tightly knit. A lot of survivors feel much more comfortable pathing on this map, since it's played on so many different killers and for a lot of different sets, so sometimes getting to the pallets are way easier. But you know, against this killer, the pathing is very weird, since you cannot use your fillers how you normally would. Even against other range killers, you can't use your pathing in the same way. This killer works very, very differently from the other range killers. But that is going to be a death on Ninjas, and congrats to Ultra for getting this 4K1. We'll be right back.
Trial season 1 here, we have what is could potentially be the last game of our group stage matchup of Odyssey versus Radiant. Last time Ultra on the side of Radiant managed to secure a 4K1 playing as the Henry. So now we have Cyber on the side of Odyssey killing the Radiant survivors, and we're off to a very strong start as the undergate count comes through, but is not going to connect to Mary Lazuli. I am your caster Monica, I'm joined by Amy, and we're starting off very hot note as the Henry is a killer that is not a mobile killer, but a very strong killer in chase, as it allows for a lot of cool unique hits to come in through. We're going to see a guaranteed hit onto Mary Lazuli here. The second hit does not connect. Can a third Vine attack connect? No, it will not. Mary Lazuli doing a very good job of running all over the place with a finesse as well, moving through the window, cutting off the line of sight, forcing Cyber to go for the blind shot. And oh, that is very tragic for Cyber. They brought both Undying and Ruin, but both the Undying and Ruin have been spotted as Murray started out on the Ruin, and the Undying has been that, so now the Ruin is also going to go down very soon. And that was very fast start. I didn't even a chance to introduce my co-caster, joined as per usual by Amy. Amy, what do you think Cyber needs to do in this match to secure that 4K2?
Well, I'll tell you right now, what he needs to do is get this down. It's been very, very unfortunate for him, as he's not been able to confirm any of these Vine attacks into a down. In fact, we haven't even started our main power mode yet. And I want to mention that Mary here is showcasing us exactly why just holding the run button is the most efficient strategy. If you've noticed, they have literally not played really any fillers. They've just been running around main for this entire time like a merry-go-round, because realistically, against this killer, that is the best strat. See here, excellent job by Mary as not deciding to play the filler and just running, just not even dropping pallet and not wasting any time, making as much distance every single time a missed power comes in. And oh my gosh, beautiful, and the fast fall, beautiful gameplay from Mary here, just perfectly showcasing what you need to do. Oh my gosh,
oh my,
what a disrespect. I cannot believe what I am seeing. I mean, ironically enough, because of that little bit of disrespect, we actually get a little bit of an opportunity here for Cyberite to get another hit. But something very different that we're seeing from Cyberite is he's trying to play way more carefully with the power here, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is allowed for these survivors to kind of get more of an opportunity to just send it and make a bunch more time against Henry. So even if the down does come like out here on a very, very difficult palette for the survivor, this is still so much time wasted, and we're literally on our 3rd gen with high progress. So I'm not really sure what Cyber can honestly do here unless the survivors make a big hiccup. This is already looking very, very good for the survivors.
Yeah, so if you ever watched Stranger Things, I'm pretty sure one of Henry's Creel's abilities in that show is to literally just pick someone up and just dismember him. Maybe Cybereye can learn how to do that mid-match. I don't know if that goes against the TOS or that goes against the Entities code or whatever. I think that's kind of what you have to do, because that is a very, very unfortunate start for Cybereye. So much time was lost during that chase that the pressure has just been built up on the Survivor side. They have so many more members alive, and the gens are so much more spread out than I think Cybereye needs to really get these next couple of downs that they get need to be very, very fast if they want to recover this game. Chase onto Ultra, the Henry from the previous match. The sides have been swapped, but now the first shot rings true as now Ultra, the empowered state is going to run out, but that doesn't matter as the M2 attacking the M1 could just come through. And now we're already down to 2 gens. If Cyber wants to get this win condition, you kind of need the 4K right then and there, but it does not seem very likely at the moment. Mary Zuli off the hook. Cyber does have the Undergate attack to follow through, but I don't even know what the plan here is. Do you go back to the hook to try and tunnel out? But knowing last chase, the tunnel out might not come out as fast as you want it to.
Finding it in here near mid, bot mid is very, very good, as it means that maybe we will not be able to make as much distance, but very unfortunate for the Feng Min here taking another hit. If we do get another one, we will go into our power. That's actually really good for Cyber to be able to get a power this quickly, but just look at the gen efficiency on these survivors already on 2 separate gens with high prog. Remember, we need a 4K1, and gosh, man, Mary's just making it incredibly difficult to get anything. Still an excellent chase despite it taking a lot less time than the first one. No, and unfortunately not. These survivors are being very smart, knowing they don't need to play for the pallet save at this point. They already have so much prog that we just don't need it. Do we see another gen pop here? Yes, we do. And
that was 2 different gens.
Yeah, that was insane, and it's exactly why they didn't need to go for a pallet save. They were already in such an excellent position for the win con, and this is going to be a run away for the survivors.
Yeah, that's very well played to Radiant. Very well played to Mary Lazuli for making that first chase last so long that it pretty much bought all the time that Radiant needed to get all 5 gens popped. So that's going to be Radiant taking the win here on the Henry set. Very well played. We are going to play this match out as Jake going for a bit of a taunt, wanting Cyberite's attention. Really wants that practice in the Henry chase. Cyber just gonna hold down the power, trying to go over. Okay, Jake is literally running circles around Cyber. What am I watching right now? Literally running wraps physically around Cyber. What on earth is this gameplay?
I will definitely say these survivors are definitely very energetic. I mean, earlier when we saw a very good chase with the Fang Min, we saw a little bit of a flash click on the Henry, and now Jake was just, like you mentioned, literally running circles and again waving at the killer. So not sure if that counts as PM. I mean, it's more like, I would say, just a little bit of fun with the killer rather than straight PM, since I consider straight PM more of like teabagging and stuff. But either way, I do like seeing the survivors get energetic when they make great plays, and again, excellent job to both sides, because honestly this is being a 1-1, so very, very great. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, this is kind of one of my first times ever actually casting a Henry match, and it really goes to show the 2 different ways that this match can go. Either you have a hard snowball, or you kind of get snowballed. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ashen Trial Season 1. We are at the tiebreaker of our group stage matchup of Odyssey versus Radiant. The score is currently 1-1, as we have now entered the unknown on records, Jared. We have Mr. Boogity on the side of Odyssey, killing the Radiant survivors. I'm your caster, Monarch. I am joined by Amy, and this is going to be a bit of a different pace compared to our other matchups, as Unknown is a bit of a weaker pick compared to Henry or even the Deathslinger. So we're definitely expecting a stages win con here. But if Mr. Boogie can find these very excellent shots onto the survivors, anything is possible. Amy, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Oh, thank you for passing it on, Monarch. I'm excited to get here for our tiebreaker set, and I have to say that this is really fascinating for a tiebreaker. I mean, Unknown is a very, very popular character, but seeing it in a tiebreaker set feels a little odd since this character is extremely volatile in so many sets. As the unknown, 2 mistakes can get such hard punish. That's why kind of there's a meme around the harmless, you know, and it's not that this character is necessarily quote-unquote weak. I personally just believe that mistakes are way harder punished than a lot of other characters because sometimes you'll see top players do really, really good things with this character. So we're already off to a great start. Does our TP work out here for our killer? No, it does not. Mr. Boogity not able to get that off. And oh my gosh, literally like a couple pixels off from getting the hit. And we already lost our power on the survivor, and that's exactly what I mean. He basically just made 2 mistakes and he just lost all of the pressure he had on the survivor earlier. And the gen efficiency from these survivors is crazy. They're already on 3 separate gens with one of them already popping. This is really exciting to see from the survivor side because honestly, unknown is just so 50-50 on whether it goes good for the killer or not.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna see this chase on the mirrors do go down eventually, but like in that chase, and you perfectly saw like 1 missed power is all it took to completely nullify. That's like the thing about unknown is that once you get that weakened state off, you have to work back to get that weakened state. The duration that the weakened state lasts, if the survivor's construct in the unknown, is only about 1 shot before it goes away. So that also isn't a pain resonance here, and also seeing a very interesting build. We have both Pop Goes Weasel and Pain Resonance, you know, very expected, but we have Deadlock as the last perk, which is a bit of an anti-synergistic perk as it blocks the most progressed gen, so you can't hit it with a Pain Resonance or a Pop Goes the Weasel. But it doesn't look like Mr. Boogity really cares, as we're just gonna walk over and Pop Goes the Weasel to gen anyways. We're gonna get chased onto Juggernaut here around the double school buses. Pallet already dropped, first shot gonna come through. That's gonna be the weakened state applied. Mary Lazuli off the hook. Does Mr. Boogity continue to chase this, or will he go for the tunnel out? It's looking like we're just gonna continue to chase on the Mr. Juggernaut here. Second shot is gonna be aimed and primed, looking at the feet, but not gonna confirm the shot. We're just gonna go for M1. Never mind. Mr. Boogity knows that he does not have the range to do that. Shot through the walls, not going to connect, not going to get the splash damage onto the Juggernaut here. Juggernaut just continues to play around the pallet, but the stun comes through, stopping Mr. Boogity in their ways. Now Juggernaut has all that space to work with. Mary Lazuli is now fully healed, so if Mr. Boogity wants this tunnel out, they're going to have to work for it. They're going to go for Jake instead. Jake going to be hit with that weakened. The UVX on cooldown, almost brought up once more, has to play around this car pallet. Can they bounce it off the car in time? Does that, gets the bounce, and it's gonna be a nice follow-up shot, and Jake runs into the car, barely not make it under, but the pallet save comes out, and now Jake is back on their feet, and Mr. Boogity has to start from square one.
Wow, what a tragedy. He worked so hard to get that down with a excellent 2-tap, I must say. I honestly did not even realize that that car was an angle for the bounce. It's really, really good from the unknown here. But, oh, and we lost our UVX again. Unfortunately, for the survivor and the Yun, we have already broken that pallet there on the Juggle Gym, so it is going to be another down. There is no pallet again for another save, but that one single save meant so much for these survivors, and we're almost going to pop another gen. Our first PR of the game coming through on 3 gens already popped. I cannot believe what I am seeing. This is such beautiful gameplay from the survivors here, and honestly, this game is looking very, very rough for our unknown here. Most likely, we're just playing for stages at this point, and it's probably why he decided to not go for the tunnel out. I'm not really sure what can be done here to salvage this game, but, you know, it's not over till it's over. We can most likely still get maybe a couple more stages on the board, and remember, one of the most fascinating things about comp is that both sides have to play the set out with the same killer, if the rule set allows for it. So we are going to see a swap over to see how the other side does. I mean, this set is rough for literally every killer if the survivors are coordinated. We are seeing another UVX on our Quentin here, and honestly, I am floored by how the pathing, I think really the pathing on these survivors has been just phenomenal. It's one of the most impressive things that we have seen here today.
Ultra trying to a little bit of a 360 around to try and avoid the weaken, but will end up being the weakened state, but the flashlight coming in to try and block it. Mr. Boogity trying to use the UVX, but it's kind of just worth it to go for the M1 there, buddy. Just pretend the unknown doesn't have a power. Now, a loop like this, you can opt to use the UVX here, trying to get a little bit of a bounce shot, but using Mr. Boogity realizes that just a good old break-in zone is going to be the best way. Easy weaken onto Ultra, needs to land the follow-up shot, but there is a teammate nearby to provide support for Ultra. Gonna try and hit a shot onto Ultra, but the shot's just a little too low to get the Jake. What are you aiming at, bro? How do you not get the flashlights done there? Sorry to interrupt myself there. We're gonna get chase onto Ultra, but the last gen pops in the background. So now I think Mr. Booty does want to commit onto Ultra here, as getting a completely fresh hook is gonna be pretty massive for the ultimate win con in the end, as you only have 2 stages confirmed so far. Ultra running all the way towards the gate in time. Can their teammates send the way forward for Ultra to make it to the gate? We're gonna see Marizuli coming in the way, body block coming in, but Ultra is gonna run to the opposite gate, but it does seem like we do have a gate open. Is it going to be this gate over by 6? It is going to be this gate, and now the cavalry has arrived. All teammates of Raidiant nearby to send their teammate off to safety, and it looks like we are not going to see another hook stage coming out.
Wow, I have no words for what I just witnessed. Beautiful coordination. Oh, we do see a little bit of a teabag here from the survivors. That was definitely a little bit of BM there. Just, I mentioned earlier that, you know, a little bit of flashlight saves, a little bit of waving is not too bad, but teabagging is a little bit on another level, especially because Mr. Boogity has unfortunately had not that excellent of a game. It's been quite unfortunate for them to be able to try and get any of these downs, but really smart gameplay from the survivors, and we are seeing a body block here. But yeah, that is one of the few strengths of Unknown, is the fact that body blocks on this character don't really work if there is UVX on one of the survivors, since Unknown can just shoot through it. If we do see another down here, that's actually very impressive from our Unknown player. No, we don't. Just going for the ace here to try and get a fresh. Unfortunately for our killer here, we do make the pallet on edge map, and Ace is deciding the path once again, and we are just trying to get this fresh hook as, you know, like by any means necessary, because this fresh hook does still mean a lot for the win con. I mean, this is already a really good win con for the other side, but I mean, fresh is a fresh. You cannot doubt that. Taking a hit onto Jake. Yeah, Jake just willing to sacrifice themselves to not give another hook state. I am still floored by what I am seeing. Very excellent coordination here, and we are going, and remember, the endgame timer is going, so we do actually have an in-game time limit for how long this chase can be. We cannot allow for the endgame scenario to happen. You know, we cannot let the endgame collapse happen, so we're just going to send it to gate. This is a little bit of a 50-50 here. Do we see the UVX come in? And yes, we do. The survivors are just forced to leave, and the endgame collapse will happen. That is actually a full stage, because in our rule set, this will count as a fresh and a kill. So excellent job by Mr. Boogity, not allowing themselves to be put down by such a rough start mid-game, but very well played near the end game there.
At the last minute, Mr. Boogity counts 3 more hook stages onto their tally, leaving himself with a 5 stages with the 3 freshes. So we're going to take a quick break as we switch sides, and we'll see how Radiant strike back. Back over into the conclusion of our group stage matchup of Radiant versus Odyssey. Last time on the side of Odyssey, they managed to secure 5 stages with the 3 freshes. So now the win con above Ultra's head is 6 stages or 5 stages with all 4 freshes secured. I am your caster Monarch. I am once again joined by Amy. And Amy, what do you think needs to happen for Ultra to secure those 6 stages?
Well, I'll tell you right now, definitely one of the things we need to do is to be able to get these downs as quick as possible. As obvious as that may seem, we clearly saw from the last match, it is not as simple as just quote-unquote getting downs, as this killer can make a lot of mistakes and be very punished for it. So we will have to see how Ultra decides to go about it. I mean, we saw earlier his mechanical abilities on killers is excellent, and oh my gosh, that was a really disgusting bounce on the tree, and it clearly showcases that Ultra is just such a great killer on the mechanics, perfectly able to execute bounces. Unfortunately, we do miss one on the ground there, but I'm not sure if it matters too much. Our win con is so flexible that even if this chase takes as long as the first one, as long as we camp the survivor,
I think that's the number 1.
We can guarantee as many stages if we just camp the survivor after the unhook. Very funny double vault into the down, and that's going to be the first down at 5 gens, so it is looking way better than it did in our last game.
Absolutely a much better start this time around for Ultra. Gonna get that pain resonance on the board to knock off some pressure on the survivor side. Gonna use the clones nearby, keeping across the map, trying to hunt for their next victim. Does have a bit of a 3-gen around this top area, connected with Shack as well, so I wonder if that's something they want to play around. 2 gens are going to pop in the process, but right now Ultra, I think they're going to go for a bit of a camp on this hook. It's going to look like they kind of are hovering around the hook area, but they're also extending themselves all the way up to 5 to get the eruption proc, but the clone allows them to go straight back to the hook and back into chase against CyberEye. Back in chase as well on the T of the TNL. First shot comes in, weakened state applied. Pull down on the UVX, ticking down. We're almost gonna get a second shot, but Covet come by for the body block save. It's gonna take an M1, but I don't know what that allows CyberEye to do. CyberEye is still stuck here, so that was just a free tag given by Covet, and it's not gonna allow CyberEye to go anywhere. Covet's not gonna be in for another M1. That is a blunder on the side of Odyssey, just allowing CyberEye to die so easily and kind of giving the free M1.
Wow, beautiful play though by Ultra. I mean, the bounce into the air was so smart. It meant that our tunnel out here could not stick near that filler, or they were going to get hit with the UVX. And obviously, we saw there, if they send it away, is the only possible solution. We will lose so much distance on that unsafe side of the filler that it literally does not matter for the distance at all. Of course, smart play also by Ultra to wait out for our eruption to come back and getting pop value. This game is going a very 180 to the last one. We're not seeing some sort of crazy explosive quote-unquote start that you may like think of, especially compared to the Henry match that we saw from Ultra earlier. That was just crazy all around. This is a little bit more of a standard unknown set where the downs are slightly longer than your average killer chase. But either way, still beautiful chase. And Ultra, just knowing the win con is the most important thing here, deciding to go back for our tunnel out. Very, very good game sense from Ultra.
Tunnel out, gonna come through, the chase goes through. This will be CyberEye's last hook stage if they get caught once more. But it seems like Ultra is that interested. We know that Covet's on the ground, crawled far enough away from the pallet, so the pallet save is not an option for ninjas. Ultra's is going to look for another hook, going to get another pain resonance on the board to knock off some pressure, and also going to get this. I talked about this before, but this 3 per combination of pain res, pop, and eruption is such a strong combination. You have eruption that can go off. You'll then have a hook onto pain resonance for some extra pressure, and then you get a pop goes to weasel proc that can reapply eruption. It's such a wonderful part combination if you can get the snowball rolling. And right now, it looks like Ultra snowball is not quite rolling, but it's at the top of the hill, and it's gaining mass and momentum. Oh, that was beautiful from Ultra. Has perfect hearing. Here's CyberEye even through the firecracker, and it knows exactly where they're going, and that is going to be CyberEye out of the game. We have a dead survivor, and there's only 3 gens left, and the win condition is like they need outs here. This is looking very, very, very winnable for Radiant.
But yeah, it's definitely looking winnable for Radiant. I would even say that Ultra might be pumping their fist in the air a little bit in their seat, knowing that this is going to be very close. Wow, beautiful shot there as well. Just the last few pixels of the UVX hitting the survivor. And now with 3 gens remaining, there is so much time on the board that genuinely our win con is basically almost met, I believe. So we could take our sweet time with these downs, because unless the survivors have they have the old brand new part that instantly pops the gens when they just hop on it, I don't think they have enough time.
Yo, low key, we gotta bring that back.
You know, it would be really funny. I mean, these survivors really need it right now, but Ultra's still playing and locked in to try and get these downs. Again, we do have a lot of time on the board, but hey, theoretically it's not impossible, so we'll just have to see what happens.
Ultra on the hunt has 2 injured survivors that they can follow up on. I actually feel like the more advantageous chaser is Jules. Perfect shot around the corner on the still weakened Jules, and that's one of the strengths that Unknown can play around, is just weakening survivor and just leaving, because that allows the follow-up chase, if they find it later, to be a lot faster, as you only have to hit the 1 shot later on. That is going to be our 5th that's going to be our 5th hook of the match, and that is 5 stages with 3 freshes. Right now, Odyssey can literally not give over any other hook stages, or else it is the win for Radiant then and there. So Odyssey on the edge of their toes. If you're an Odyssey fan, brace yourselves. This is going to be a rough one to go through. But the stun on the pallet is a nice little, a nice little bit of hope there, but it's looking very dreadful for Odyssey. They still need to get Jules off the hook. Unhook gonna come through. Tries to go for a little bit of a lob over, not gonna get the weakened state on the unhooker and the unhook E. But with the perk setup that Ultra has, it's perfect for getting the snowball to finish out the game.
Yeah, we are very close to our win conditioning. We're literally just one stage away, as you mentioned earlier. So Ultra just needs to find literally anyone. And we do find an injured survivor in a not great position. This is so disastrous. This is... Oh, no. I was going to say this is a disastrous position to be caught in, and with the flatline save, it almost comes through. A little bit of shimmer of hope for the fans at home, but that is going to be our win met, and congrats to Radiant for closing it out. It's crazy because they the first set actually looked really good for the survivor end, and Radiant completely turned it around and showed us exactly how smart survivor and smart killer gameplay looks like. And a lot of credit goes to Ultra, since from what I've seen, Ultra's just been locked in this entire day, perfectly executing the mechanics of the characters they're playing, and I am not surprised by this ending, especially with a win con that was really rough for the survivors. But shout outs to them for still playing it out. You know, it seems like a very rough win con to come back from, and they decided to keep their head highs and hopefully do anything they can to try and meet it, despite it not going in their favor today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well played to the Odyssey team for putting up a fight against Radiant, but also well played to Radiant. They just had very nice survivor play all across the board, across our 3 sets that we had. So wonderful job to them as well. As now Odyssey are just trying to get anything they can remaining. They will pop another gen, but at the state that the game is in right now, I don't think any other gens are going to pop for the rest of this series. Jules in chase off the hook, on the depth hook as well. Just going to send it through the window, pre-dropping the pallet to get a little bit of extra distance, a little bit extra safety, but goes the wrong way. Now we're running into a tree, and now we're just everywhere, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely a mess on the floor for these survivors. Another person being sent away to the campfire to go and meet and talk with the entity again about this game. I mean, if you're the entity, you're probably very pleased with the amount of...
if you could have a conversation with entity, what would you ask him?
Oh, I actually think it's a great question. I think I would ask the entity to buff. Oh my god.
That shot! The orbital from halfway across the... Yo, call up the Los Angeles Lakers. We got a new player for you. Like, whatever. I don't know basketball. Are there any teams in the NBA struggling right now? Pick up this guy immediately.
Yeah, the NBA might have to invest in DVD comp, as that was such a beautiful shot from the unknown there. And honestly, again, Ultra just proving my point that the mechanics are on point. You know, I'm honestly still thinking about that Ultra, that UVX shot that we saw earlier on the tree to start off the game. That was, like, you need to have the knowledge to know exactly where it bounces to be able to get that. And this is actually our last survivor remaining, and so this might, a little bit of a Mickey swing there, just basically saying, hey, screw it, you know, this is the last survivor. I can go for something a little bit more risky, since even if I get stunned, it's not that big of a punishment. Ultra just trying to go for some more fancy shots, as you mentioned. He's feeling real confident, and I can't even finish speaking before he gets his down. Excellent job to Ultra once again, and Radiant is taking out the game here, and that is going to be it for these teams. Again, Monarch, it was a pleasure casting with you. I was brought on as basically a replacement, so this was a little bit of a surprise to me for being able to commentate today, but I'll take any chance I get. It is always such a fun time commentating fun sets, and again, it wouldn't have been the same without you, Monarch. I love your intros, I love your outros, and speaking of outros, any closing thoughts before we head out here?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for joining me on this cast. This has been a wonderful cast. That is it for the matches we have today, but stick around, as Ashen Trials is not over. Next week, we'll have a variety of matches for you all to watch. So, I've been Monarch. Thank you, Amy, so much for joining us, and catch you all later.